What's today? Freaking Friday. You already know we got work to Saturday. Hop on, chop it up with an individual. See what's the talk of the town is going down. The word on the curve. You heard me. Let me just set this up. Here in Southern California, it is a hot as fuck day. Hot as fuck. So we still in that heat wave. Trying to see what's good with the folks, the lokes. Now, for those who are curious, I did drop a new video on this channel, right? If you guys want to scope that one out. And I will be bringing a battle rap reaction on the other channel later on today. So stay tuned for those. What's cracking like a dash pool? Good, my loke. What you getting yourself into, carnal? Chilling like a villain? Domi Jose, what's good? What's good? Enjoy because it's the last of the year. Oh, okay, good. Can't wait for it to end. Shit, that's what we're waiting for. Because it is hot as fuck, bro. Ain't nobody trying to do nothing in this weather. Just got out of class, man. Loving the people and the vibe. That's good, carnal. That's good. That's good to hear. Sometimes it just takes time, you know. It takes a little bit of time, but, you know. But that's good that you stick into the class and, everything's going good. Good vibes. As long as you surround yourself with nothing but pure, people with good vibes and are positive, everything should be, all gravy. It's only when you surround yourself with pure negative people is when shit is always, sideways. The YouTube subs is selling 100 subs a day a week ago. And he's learning gunners. Yeah, well, it is what it is. The only way the way I see it is that you may be able to fool, certain people out there, right? And you can brag about it and gloat about it, but at the end of the day, you yourself know what the real truth is, right? How it's all a lie, how it's all fabricated, and and just that in itself, it's almost sad, bro. It's like, you know what I mean? It's like, imagine that. Man, that is crazy. That's the thing that always blows my mind is that, yeah, you may be able to fool people, but like, what the truth is, and I don't understand how you could be comfortable with that. At least for the weekend. Don Cheto coming down. Party with Don Cheto. Is he the old man, the chubby old man? Well, I don't know if it's a costume, no, or whatever the fuck, right? The rap/rapper, comedy rapper. He's a comedy rapper, no? The rapper Young Thug is still about him snitching and still they still trying to keep that facade going. Yeah, well. Only downside is that you could only listen to Woody or take the music on the low. On the low? Why the low? You could hear it loud. I doubt anybody's gonna know who he is, right? And even if they do, I mean, you're not a gang member, so why would they trip? It would be different, like, let's say, if you were a street-related individual, then that's a different story. People know how to separate the two. 100% agree. Yeah, and it's something that's easy to do, and you can even do it on your lives. You can buy him for your lives. You can buy subscribers, comments, and all of that. It's easy. It's as easy as scoring a fake YouTube plaque as well. It's like the reality is like, what the truth is, and I don't know, like, how bad is your situation, or how insignificant do you see yourself that you have to lie like this to make yourself feel better, right? Like, that's a trip. He keeps They'll eventually run out of content. Yeah, yeah. Like I don't think that they thought of the end game, all that all that through, right? Like, let's say if you're trying to make this your career, right? Like it's crazy. Gotta be inventing situations and he keeps trying to claim that he didn't snitch. He just tried to help out to his homies, and literally. Then, if he really wanted to help his homies, he wouldn't have said anything to begin with. That is how you help the homies, by keeping your mouth shut. People hate on him. I personally find. They hate on him? Shit, I didn't know that. I always thought he was funny. Who you got, Canelo or Crawford? That's a very good question. Who do I have, Crawford or Canelo? I want to say I'm leaning more into Crawford than I am into Canelo. The only reason why I say that is because Canelo has showed me a few questionable, antics as of lately, right? Like avoiding certain fights, right? Not taking stuff like as serious as he maybe should be taking stuff, right? And I noticed that when he tends to fight, somebody like that's a little bit more, heavier than him, right? He struggles. Now, I would want Canelo to win, right? Because I'm a fan of Canelo. Canelo, he's a good boxer, right? I'm a fan of him, right? So I would want Canelo to win. But if you're asking me, like realistically, who do I think would win? Like, I don't know. I probably would lean into Crawford winning more than I would Canelo, if I'm just keeping it 100. Because I don't know, seeing the press conference and all that, it seems like Crawford's got the more of the hunger and the passion for the fight than Canelo does. Canelo kind of seems a little bit laid back about the matter, and cockiness. It tends to cockiness does tend to be kryptonite. It's also very easy to buy. One thing, situation exposed this one. He said how he. Yeah, and fake plaques, like the fake YouTube plaques, like you can buy them for $8. Like I said, but the truth is that you'll know what the truth is, though, and I don't understand how people could be comfortable with that. Like, so what if you're not really getting that many subscribers? So what if there's only like 50 people in your life? Like, what does it matter though? Like, who gives a fuck how many? If there's fucking 7,000 or if there's only 10, who cares, bro? Like, why does that kind of stuff matter to you people so much? Like, that shit is crazy. I don't know. They're a trip. Maybe they would have thought they would have accomplished more. I actually don't know. Yeah, like one thing that blows my mind is like when they make fun of other channels and they be like, oh, their channel with their 400 subscribers or their 53 views. Like, bro, when any YouTuber starts, that's how everybody at one point was, like that, right? And back then, people were like, I'm humble for every subscriber I have. I'm humble for the views I have. But now that, they missed the big shots, they're like, oh, yeah, they're 100 subscribers. Like, get out of here with that shit. And it's like, oh, now, like, all of that shit is irrelevant. Now, all of that shit is, like, it doesn't matter. Like, now it's, like, something to make fun of. It's not what you were saying in the beginning, right? Why is it now all of a sudden, like, comical? Like, I just find that, funny. ¿Por qué te tatuaste? Pues nomás. And then he has the other one, the vámonos pa rancho, I don't want to leave LA. Out of all the comical rappers, he's probably the best one, no? Because there's him, Chingo Bling, that guy Little Moco. Who else was it? I forgot the name of that other fucker. Little Pepe? Or some shit like that. It's crazy. I'd much rather listen to the devil. At least he was a made man. Oh, I was like, who? Oh. Um, I guess, like, I mean, if you're talking about like getting like actual details of actual events, um, yeah, and not looking to brag about it, I guess it would be a good source. There you go, bro. They have to be number one. Yeah, I know. It's just that when individuals are like narcissistic, though, it just it's still mind blowing how they just can't see their behaviors, though. Like it just blows my mind. I think that's probably why it fascinates me so much, right? Like the human brain and how it works, right? Like how individuals are just not able to see the bullshit around or the bullshit that they create, right? They're like oblivious to it. I'm gonna have a Woody. That's it. I'm gonna get in. Orale. Oh, the wood. I thought like the Woody, because he's a good rapper. No lie, he is talented, and the fact that he was doing it all on his own is fuck. Especially in his times too, where it was a lot more difficult to do. Pretty impressive. Yeah, but that whole thing about like being the number one on YouTube and just exploiting stuff is just, and the fact that like they're so brazen with like the embellishments of the stories though, like the way they just tell them is just realistically. I mean, I mean, you gotta be real gullible in order to be like to fall for it. I'm gonna become a YouTuber. You should. If that's what you want to do, I don't see why not. I think YouTube is good for individuals that want to do YouTube for the things that they're passionate about instead of like wanting to do it for financial gain or financial reason, right? I think once you choose financial gain and financial reason, you're gonna find it a little bit difficult. You're probably gonna start to get frustrated, and you're probably gonna start doing shit that what you normally probably wouldn't do, right? In order to grow, because people start thinking about the money. Like just go with the flow, like your passion, right? And then then it will eventually get bigger, bigger, and then you could really be making the money, right? And you would have grown your channel the right way without having to worry about no negative fallback and stuff like that. Like let's say by you lying. But they make money off. No, but see, here's the thing though. Here's the thing that that's a trip about the scenarios though. Even though they are making money, a lot of money, right, off of lies and stuff like that, though. Even though with all the success that they are getting and the money that they are gaining, they are still not happy with how they view themselves. That's the reason why they have to lie and embellish everything, right, in order to make themselves greater than what they are, or what they at least they see themselves as, right? Because they're the ones doing this to themselves, right? So in order for you to be lying about your success and lying about who you are, then you see a lot of things wrong with you. You don't see yourself as successful. You don't see you see yourself as like beneath your standard of what it should be, right? So even with all the success that you're having in finances, you're still uncomfortable with who you are, and you're still unhappy with your status and where you're at in life, though. So you're still miserable even though you have the success, which in itself speaks volume, right? Like they can, laugh and smile all they want, but it's not genuine though. And how do we know this to be true? Because of their behaviors, right? The behaviors, like I said, actions will forever speak louder than the words, right? It's like somebody telling you that they're not mad when clearly they're mad as fuck. You know, you can see them fuming, right? They're saying one thing, but their actions are showing the what the real, truth is. The thing when you get big is people, especially. The thing is when you get big is people, especially wives, complain. They complain. Why would they complain? Especially wives. I don't get it. Like maybe if you like wives, I could only see if like maybe if you're like flirting with your subscribers or shit like that, right? But like I said, like if you at least hold your marriage values, to a high standard, then then they want to have nothing to worry about. What's cracking like Mr. Pasa's definitely up in the casa. Wow, she's the money coming in. I don't see why they would complain though. Like, why would a woman complain about it though? She just doesn't want to see you like, like try to grow or or enjoy yourself. Then I would just say like, then I guess there's bigger problems, than this at hand. Aquí en Long Beach con él. Eso es todo, carnal. Have you ever heard or have? Oh yeah, they're the sweet juices, the sweet drinks, no? Mike Hard, the lemonade ones, and then the beatboxes is like the fruity one. I tried the Mike's ones. I haven't tried the beatbox ones though. But like I said, I'm not into stuff that tastes like, like sweet. To me, alcohol and sweet really doesn't mix good together. I'm more of like malt. I'm more of someone who likes malt liquor than I do, like Smirnoff or shit like that. I just feel like sweet and alcohol just doesn't mix good together. I get it for other people like them, right? Because they don't like the taste of alcohol, right? But damn, that sweet shit really does fuck up your stomach, though. YouTube takes time away from family for me. Yeah, this is true. This is the reason why I do my videos when I'm at work on my breaks, right? Because when I'm outside of work, I don't like to be, also. But see, I think people like why will start to complain. I think once like you have individuals that obsess over themselves and record every single detail about their like life in general, right? Like they start recording everything, and it's like not everything has to be on camera, bro. And that in itself is when you start putting, your values or your, what your interest is before your family's, right? Which is not good either. Yeah, I could see that when people are constantly, putting, their social media status before their families. Gotta know how to, balance the two. Right? Like let's say if you're doing a YouTube channel, right? But you're dropping one video per day. I mean, how long can the video possibly be, right? So like you're not really taking that much time, spending from your loved ones, right? Unless you're someone that, like I said, is constantly recording every minute of their life, then it's strange in itself. Cheap wine. Yeah, I'm not much of a wine drinker either. Oh, flavoring, cheap wine flavoring. Yeah, probably. Do you believe Jesus existed? I believe that Jesus existed as the individual, the human individual, right? I believe Jesus as being a philosopher, intelligent ahead of his time, like let's say like Plato or um, Nietzsche or like that, right? I don't believe the magical and super powers, and I don't believe none of that stuff. I don't believe the supernatural of the things, right? Because people like Jesus have existed, forever as time has gone, right? Jesus is not the only one of his kind, right? Um, who wanted who wanted better for the people, right? And who stood up to a tyrant like Caesar, right? There's been people like Caesar, forever as well, right? Caesar, Hitler, Saddam, Osama, Kim Jong Un, Putin. There's people that are like, Caesar throughout history. Same, there's been people that fought against, the tyrants like, Martin Luther King or Rosa Parks or Cesar Chavez. You know what I mean? They're not unique to their situations, right? But I don't believe in the supernatural of things. So his mother got pregnant by somebody. Now, whether they want to admit, who it is, or they want to go kept up with their story, that's their issues, right? I just don't buy into that. Especially if she was staying in the household with another man. Yeah, but he had nothing to do with that. If somebody were to tell you that story, like let's say in modern day times, right? This girl was living in this home with another man, and she got pregnant, and she said that she never had, sex with anybody, and that's how she got pregnant. Nobody in this fucking planet would believe her at all, at all. And don't even say you would. No, you wouldn't. Nobody would believe her at all. They would think that something happened between the two people that were in that household, right? And then this is just the truth of the matter, right? Or if somebody told you that they had a conversation with Jesus, they had a vision, they seen Jesus, they had a conversation with them, and they wrote it down, and now take this word as as proof. Nobody would believe that guy. They'll think he's fucking crazy, and they'll be like, yeah, that fool's full of shit. But yet, with these words, we're supposed to believe it and take it as facts. So, isn't that funny how that works? Human behavior has been around since forever. Human behavior has not changed. There's been narcissists, people that are cheaters, connivers, con men, shisty, pedophiles, murderers, criminals, thieves, whatever. There's been people like that throughout history. You can see it in the textbooks and everything. Throughout history, there's been behaviors like this. So this is how people behave nowadays. This is not new, right? This is not something that's, unique to the 21st century, right? People have always had these types of behaviors, right? So who's to say that this and this, couldn't have happened, right? Or these people were full of shit, or they were just liars, or whatever, right? That's the problem with history, is that people think just because something is like, from back in the days, right? They take it as like, oh, this has to be, like facts, right? Like that this had to be true, right? When it could have just been somebody fucking lying. Just like there's people that lie nowadays to, for them to achieve shit. Now, I don't want to offend nobody in going into these discussions. Keep in mind that this is just my belief. I could potentially be wrong about all of this, right? And I'm not saying that I'm right and you're wrong. I'm just saying that this is the way I see it, though, right? So don't be offended. Like, this is my beliefs. So the witnesses told us. That's the way I see it. I mean, there's people nowadays that are eyewitnesses to being abducted by aliens, but people say that they're full of shit, though. And this is true, though. I seen the alien. They were in my backyard. I seen them with my eyes. I had some footage, but you can't really see it on the footage. And it's like, nah. You know what I mean? And people be like, man, these motherfuckers are full of shit. But with these people, it's like, oh, no, yeah, that really happened. What? Okay, I guess. What about the miracles? You know? And not only that, but shit, there could have been logical explanations for those as well, right? I find it strangely odd, right, that as now that we live in the modern day era, right, where technology it's advanced, right, everybody has like, practically a fucking HD camera in their pockets, right? that you can record and take pictures, right? So as time has gone by and technology has gotten better, these ghost stories, monster stories, ghouls and goblins and alien encounters and everything, there's fewer and fewer than there was back in the days. Back in the days, there was so many sightings and so many, stories of this and that. But as technology has gotten better and cameras have gotten better, you see less and less of or hear less and less of those stories, right? I find that strange. Like, why is it now that we actually have the potential to capture something that you don't see none of that happening at all, right? So, you know what I mean? And people do tend to lie for very strange reasons. We know this because we see it on a day-to-day, right? Or hear about it on a day-to-day. Or shit, even know somebody, right? So, this is that wasn't happening, right? Like, that's strange that now you hardly hear any of the sightings and stuff like that. Wonder what happened. And even if you just think about like the concepts of ghosts, that in itself doesn't even make any sense. Like, so they can make furniture move, they can make tables, fly from one end of the room to the next end of the room, right? But I mean, if they really want to get their point across, why don't they pick you up and throw you out, right? Like, why does it have to be specifically when you're not looking or at the corner of your eye? Like, if the message is to scare you out of the house or whatever the fuck, or to show that they would do it like literally in front of you, would see the bowl lift up in the air and, there's your proof. It's as simple as that. But no, it's always like some cheap ass video or some, oh, no, I seen it. Take my word for it. Right? Like, damn, you record everything else, bro. But when it comes to the thing you need to record, it just happened that you didn't record it, huh? Man, get out of here, right? And it's like, it just doesn't make any sense. And it's like, why is it only that house that's haunted and not every other house? Hey, do you not know how many people have been murdered and killed throughout time? You would have ghosts everywhere walking around like it is nothing. You would have ghost encounters all the fucking time. It just doesn't make any sense logically, right? But I can see it. Back in the days, education was a luxury, right? People didn't have the means to educate themselves. So if you don't know how stuff works, as humans, you're going to try to find an explanation for it. You're sitting in, we see it all the time, like when you're at your house and when the wind is blowing and it closes the doors in your house, you see it happen, like that, right? Oh, how did that door close? It was the wind, because we know that that's how wind works now, right? It could close, any door in your house, how it travels, right? But back then, like I said, they weren't educated, so they didn't know how wind worked, and they didn't know none of this information. A door closes, you're alone in your house, a door closes, and you're gonna say it's a fucking ghost. What else can it be? What else can it be? You're not educated. You don't have, what else is it gonna be? Of course it's a ghost. You don't need to explain that. It's as simple as that. It's a ghost. There. Right? And then the story gets passed down from generation to generation. People think it's true when it could have just been a fucking, this and that. That's my 2 cents on the matter. All right, ladies and gentlemen. My lunch break is over. We got to get back to it. It was good chat to get up with you guys, and we out.